Hi, Jason.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Thanks for doing the interview, my friend. Okay, right then. So we're talking. Hi, everybody. We're talking to Michael Harris from the band Thought Chamber. Welcome to Friday the 13th, my friend. So I'm going to ask you some warm-up questions first. As a guitar player, what age did you learn to play guitar, and who are your influences?
I started when I was 14. In that era, I was into rock and metal leading up to that. Um, I really liked Robin Trower, Richie Blackmore, Black Sabbath, Tony Iommi. Then probably, definitely Michael Schenker and Uli John Roth. I'm thinking I probably didn't get into those guys till I had been playing for a year or so.
Right. Okay then. So was guitar your first instrument, and what guitar was your first guitar that you had?
I played trumpet in the school band before that, so that gave me a musical background, and I learned how to read music, and then once you get into rock music, nobody knows how to read music, so but it didn't hurt. My first guitar was I remember looking at two guitars. They're really cheap guitars. One was a K brand and one was a Diasonic, it was called. I think I picked the one that looked the best, but it probably didn't play the best. So it was like that looks cool. I'll take that one.
Yeah.
But I was going through guitars like girlfriends back in that day, and I just tried every guitar around, just looking for that magic. And they all had something to offer that the
Right.
other ones didn't. So I just kept trading my guitar to get another guitar. Just whatever, however I could get another guitar.
So what
So
guitars are you playing now? What make of guitars? Just for people that are interested in knowing what guitars you are.
I've got quite a few. I might have like a dozen guitars because not really just I'm not a collector, but you got to have certain guitars for certain tones, especially if you're a recording artist. And so my main guitar is a Gibson Les Paul double cutaway. Um, I don't really get that attached to guitars, so like I say, I'm always looking for something else that might be more versatile as a main guitar. But I've kept a lot of guitars, like I say, for the tones.
Right.
You got single coil pickups for brighter tones, etc. And acoustics as well. 12 string, nylon, steel string acoustic. They all have something unique. So
So what was the very first band you was in back in the day? Did you record any albums, demos?
I had a band called Tyrant.
All right, not the band that was signed to Metal Blade.
Right. No, it was probably a misnomer, really, because we didn't play. It sounds very metal, and we did play some metal, but back in the day, it was more, rock, hard rock. And so we had several different band members in that band. At the end of Tyrant, we decided to form Arch Rival,
Yeah, I've got
and
some of your CDs.
awesome.
I've got your very first one that was released on Kilowatt Records, I think, in England. And then I've got the one with the blue cover. Can't remember the title
All
off the top
right.
of my head. But yeah, I've got two of your albums.
Oh, cool.
I actually
Uh,
reviewed them back in the day.
oh, cool. Um, yeah, at the end of Tyrant played a little bit of our own material. Then we decided to form a band that would focus even more on original material, and went through several phases, different people in the band, etc. And finally, we got to the final phase of Arch Rival, where we were pretty much exclusively playing our own material.
How many albums did
So
you record with Arch Rival in the end?
we had In the Face of Danger. We actually had a couple of EPs before that, but In the Face of Danger was our first serious recording and first one with the final incarnation of the band. And that was, like you said, it was on Kilowatt was one of the labels it was on. It was on several labels in different territories,
Yeah.
even Japan. That was around 1991. Then in 93, we released Wake Up Your Mind, which also got a Japan deal and some other deals in Europe. Um, then in then I moved, and the singer Steve Snyder moved, but we kept the band together. We'd play a gig every now and then. And in 1997 or 8, we released Third Degree Burns. Um, then we did a kind of a reunion EP with maybe 4 new songs and some live tracks. Um, that might have been in 2008. So really kind of 4 main recordings and the 2 EPs that we did
Right.
way back.
I know you did some solo albums with your brother, didn't you? Some instrumental albums.
Yeah, then around the same time that Arch Rival's first CD was released, around 91, I had my first solo album, Defense Mechanisms. So that was like completely different than the Arch Rival stuff, but it had Gary and Greg from Arch Rival playing bass and drums on that. So
Okay, then so how many albums did you do, solo albums in total? Because wasn't some signed to Lion Muisc? Did you do some releases on Lion?
right, yeah, I had some releases on Leviathan and then Lion and some other labels around the world, and a few I released myself. I've got about 10 solo albums.
Wow.
I really like
all
that.
Instrumentals, all instrumentals.
Yeah, I did one vocal album, but the rest were instrumentals. I really like doing instrumental stuff because it's kind of no limits, you know.
Yeah.
You're not working within a vocalist range or anything like that. And let's face it, you know, if you're playing instrumental music, you're probably not looking for a hit or worried about mainstream or anything like that. So there's a lot of integrity in that style. Like I say, it's kind of unlimited in the composing and recording.
Right, okay then. So, Thought Chamber, who came up with the title for the band? Was it a band or a project? Because people were a bit confused at first because it seemed to be like a project. Is it now a band?
It started out as hopefully being a band that could play live, but not everybody was able to get away and play shows, and so it ended up being more like a project. But you never know. Even this version of Thought Chamber could play live, you know, if everybody was available. So yeah, you know, it's definitely turned into more of a project, recording project, but it's been a real challenge, and you know.
I mean, what about the name? Who came up with the name? Did you have any other names for this project?
And the name I had, one of my solo records is called Sketches from the Thought Chamber, so it came from that.
Oh, okay,
Just,
interesting.
yeah.
So you were around in 2006. That's when the band formed. And you had Ted from Enchant as the original singer. Great band, Enchant. How did you hook up with Ted and everybody else back then? I know Bill's still with you from Enchant on keyboards.
Right. Yeah. Bill's an incredible player, so it's been great to have a keyboard player of that ability. And yeah, I have to think back at the personnel in the band, which changed after the first record.
Yeah.
And other than vocals, stayed the same on the third record. So
Because you've had, like I say, Inside Out records with the first two albums, wasn't they? Released on Inside Out Music.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean,
That
you
was
also had Bobby Williams on keyboards, who used to be with Outworld.
right.
Yeah, they were a good band back in the day, man.
Very good
So
band.
you've had a couple of lineup changes. Just tell me what your first thoughts of your first album. How successful was the debut album for you?
The debut Thought Chamber was very successful. I mean, the reviews were great. The players, Rob and Derek from Hodge's Kitchen, like
Well, they were an
drums and
interesting
bass.
band. They were an interesting band, kind of weird.
Yeah, and great players. I mean, so the fans really dug the musicianship of that, and the music went over great. We had a chance to play Prog Power, but everybody was not able to do it. So
That's a shame. It was a good
sad,
festival.
yeah, that was a shame. But
Do you think you could play it now? You've got the more of a steady lineup for the in the future.
yeah, it's possible. It's definitely possible.
Right then, because I mean, you've had like some various lineup changes. I mean, I mean, did you sell really well with the first album? Was it a good seller for you? Because like I remember reviewing it, and I always kind of compared it to a little bit to Enchant, only because of Ted's vocals. It was
Right.
hard. It was hard not to get away from that back then because of the vocalist you had. Oh, what did you call you? What would you class your music as? Jazz, fusion, prog rock, metal? What is it?
Yeah, it toggles the line between prog rock and prog metal, which is kind of tough to do
Yeah,
because, if it's prog rock, then it's really not metal enough for the metalheads, and prog metal, might be a little heavy for the prog rockers. So, but I like the kind of the unlimited. I like the composing challenge of that and not being really pigeonholed into one genre exactly. And I always tried to include some jazz fusion. Definitely, I'm not a jazz player by any stretch, but I've always really liked jazz fusion. And
right.
so you've got a lot of different chords involved with that and playing in and out of key and, you know, um, just the technical level. And the latest version of Thought Chamber, Mike Haid, uh, Bill Jenkins, Jeff Plant, those guys are real fusion players. So
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, the first album, how did, in the original place, how did you all hook up? I mean, obviously, you must know Ted and Bill before you got together. How did you all get together and say, let's make this project?
so everybody kind of records on their own and trade files. That's what it's become for a lot of bands.
Oh, yeah, I know. There's nobody gets in the same room together anymore. That's it. It's kind of like disappeared.
Yeah, and that's definitely sad, but you can, if you really want to find the personnel that you need, it's not easy to find it all in one area. So
Right,
what's musically best isn't geographically best necessarily. So
right. I mean, the first album, Angular Perceptions, who came up with the title?
that was a lyric that I wrote in the song Sacred Treasure. So for a few of my albums, I just kind of looked for a lyrical phrase that from another one of my tunes that maybe is appropriate.
Yeah,
Sometimes that's a good place to find a name.
right.
So
Okay, I mean, the second album, Psychicarion, is it Psychicarion?
Psycharion,
Psycharion, yeah.
yeah,
What does that mean? Who came up with that title? Was that another song that you had?
that was. I thought I would go for a concept album, futuristic, and so it's just a fictional word.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any other titles for this album?
Pardon?
Did you have any other titles for this album?
Psycherion, the whole concept of that was something I came up with when writing the first album. And originally, that was going to be like maybe one long song. I thought I'd have one conceptual song, and it just kept expanding into longer and longer. And I thought, at some point, I thought, well, I could make the whole album a concept.
Yeah.
But I kind of had to force some of the songs that were already written to fit into the concept. But
Okay. So,
yeah,
do you have any favorite songs from the first two albums? What's your favorite songs from each of those two albums?
mm, um, the first there's an intro on the first album that kind of sums up some of the melodies from the album. Premonition, it's called, and so it's kind of giving you a prequel to what's coming up. The song after that, Sacred Treasures, one of my favorites on that album. It's not super heavy, very proggy. I'm trying to remember, it's been, so long. It's kind of like, okay, that album's done, let's move on to another one. And I'm always kind of looking into the future.
Yeah. Okay.
But that the two instrumentals on the first album, Accidentally on Purpose and Mr. Quinkle's Therapy, those were really fun to write and play and get everybody's chops in there. Everybody played great.
Yeah.
And Mr. Quinkle was an idea I had. I'm going to make this humorous character.
Sounds like Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, something along those lines. And I just thought I would have a recurring character, make a cameo on every album
Yeah.
with an instrumental song that's chops laden and humorous, musically humorous as well as the title. So we've had one of those on every album. Those are always fun. Transcends, one of my favorites from Psycherion.
Right.
There's a little bit of everything in that, and the solo break is fusion-esque, so that incorporated some jazz fusion. On the new album, the title song has a jazz fusion-esque break towards the end where everybody trades off chops, and
Right. Okay then.
yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you then, Michael. Why did Ted leave the band? Is he getting back with Enchant? What's going on with Ted at the minute?
I haven't talked to him in a while, but he definitely wanted to. He told me he really wanted to kind of reinvent himself. And so he's focusing on his band, Pattern Seeking Animals.
I don't know those. Never heard of them.
And they've got quite a few records out now. They've been really consistent in releasing material. Very good material, really deep stuff that's very proggy.
Is it a bit
So,
like
yeah.
Enchant, or is it completely different from that?
I think it's pretty different from that.
I'm gonna have to check them out.
I
Definitely.
I think Ted was looking for something new, and so
I mean, like
yeah.
you've got like John at the minute from Praying Mantis, English singer. How did you hook up with him?
And we contacted quite a few different vocalists, and Mike Haid, Thought Chambers drummer, works at Prog Power, U.S. Prog Power. He helps them out every year and knows
Yeah, like the
everybody
drum
there.
tech is yeah, like the drum tech or something at the festival.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he's written for Modern Drummer magazine, and so he knows everybody. Super nice guy
Right.
and super talented. He was just asking people at Prog Power, and Jaycee Cuijpers' name came up quite a few times, and
It's kind of interesting
so
that you've got him in the band because, like, Praying Mantis, would you say they're similar to what you're doing now or completely different?
I'm not familiar with them.
old English band from the 80s.
But I think Gary Barden was in it for a while, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, it
From
was. Yeah,
Michael
yeah.
Schenker
Yeah, yeah.
singer,
Yeah.
yeah. So basically, John just did one song. I wish we could have got more from him, but we during the recording of that, the pandemic hit, and there was all kinds of things affecting people, and but yeah, great voice. I know John has done stuff with TSO now, and
John Siberian Orchestra, yeah.
yeah, I mean, so he keeps.
Everyone's been with those guys. There's been so many great singers doing backing vocals, lead vocals.
Right.
It's a pretty interesting thing. So, I mean, your new album, Michael, Myst of, is it Lyriad? Lyriad? Lyriad, sorry, yeah. Tell me about the title. Who came up with that, and what does it mean?
And that was again a fictional word that just sounded cool, and the word mist tended to flow with it well. And that is a continuation of the Psycharion story.
Right.
So the new album, it's not conceptual other than the first song.
Right.
And Lyriad is a futuristic city where the main character of Psycharion, who was just a kid on that album, this is like 100+ years later in the future, and he was in cryo sleep for like over 100 years and is waking up. That's who you see on the cover.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah, the one behind me, yeah.
Right.
Oh, interesting. I mean, this album's got you've got Travis Wills from Crimson Glory. How do you hook up with Travis?
And Travis, I lived in Dallas, Texas for a while, and so I knew Travis it was a friend in Dallas.
Is that from his previous band that he was in before Crimson Glory?
Right. He was in Infidel Rising.
Yeah.
And still is. So if you dig his vocals, and you should, I'd encourage people to check out that band. And then Devon Graves, we also worked with him.
Psychotic Waltz, one of my favorite bands of all time. That guy is such an amazing singer.
Yes, he is.
How did you hook up with Devon?
And that was Inside Out recommended him.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think of Psychotic Waltz? Because I think they're amazing musicians, like so strange and so different from everybody else.
Well, I was unfamiliar with them when he was suggested, and I've just kind of, I haven't listened to a whole lot of modern music in the last few decades. Right. That sounds insane, but it's like writing one album and going to the next album. But I have checked them out, and it was very cool stuff, very, very creative, vocally especially.
I'm very surprised he's not playing flute on, because he only appears on one song. It's mainly Travis doing all the vocals. Why did Devon only do one? Is it because of his time living in Austria?
Devon did the bridges on the second song, so he kind of traded off with Travis.
Right.
And the song Digitized, Devon sang about half of that, trading off with myself. And then the final song, Nyctophobia, he did sing, traded off with myself again, but he sang more than I did. So
yeah, right.
So we got him on 3 songs.
You don't really actually hear him that much so distinctly as you do on the last song, because that's when you hear him. It's like, wow, where's the flute? Where's the flute?
Right. Yeah.
Did you consider having him playing flute on that song?
Yeah. He suggested it at one point. It never happened, but that would have been really cool. I did check out Dead Soul Tribe, too.
There's a lot of flute in those.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
He's a big Ian Anderson fan, as I am. I love Ian Anderson and early Toll stuff.
So, Michael, how long did it take to record the new album? Was it done in separate studios and just send the files to each other, like you said earlier on?
Yeah, everybody did that the same way because geographically we're all over the place.
Yeah.
Not even all in the same country.
Yeah, true.
But
Devon in
it's
Austria.
it's cool that that can be done nowadays. And so, but to me, to write an album, it's usually a 2 year process, to effectively write an album and demo and keep going back and forth and tweaking things. And that was pretty much the case with Myst of Lyriad, but there were a lot of things that happened, obstacles, because we started out assuming Ted was going to be singing.
Yeah.
Then when he bowed out, we had to look for singers. And then the pandemic hit. And then during that whole process of writing, recording the album, and releasing the album, I moved 1,000 miles away from where I lived. I moved 3 times during that time frame. So there's just a lot of obstacles, and just had to get the vocals right on the album, and so one of those things.
Did you write most of the lyrics then? Or did any other singers have any inputs on this album?
Yeah, I wrote all the lyrics.
Right, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the album was produced by the band, or was it mainly you producing it and the input from the other members? How did it work?
Mainly myself, but I especially work with, drummers and making sure that they're happy. I work with all the musicians to make sure they're happy with the sounds. And then Davide Squaldini mixed it.
Yeah, right, yeah.
In Italy at his studio.
Who's he worked with, for people that don't know? Who's he worked with?
I first heard him on Antoine Fafard. Is a fusion bass player, composer. And I heard his stuff, and I saw Davide's name on there, and I contacted him. So it just so happens he was interested in mixing my stuff. So he also mixed one of my solo albums, Chemical Compositions, and he also mixed he did the remix of Psycherion.
Right, okay. Interesting. So the artwork was done by John Holland. Has he worked with you before on previous albums?
He did the artwork on the other 2 Thought Chambers.
Right, okay.
And he did the first Darkology, which is my metal project.
Yeah.
He did the artwork for that.
Got Kelly on it from
yes.
Outworld singing, yeah.
Right.
Outworld member.
Incredible singer.
Yeah. So what's your favourite songs, Michael, from this new album? What's your favourites?
Let's see. I hate them all for different reasons. Well, the title song is definitely one of my favorites on there because there's a little bit of everything on that. It's kind of like Transcend from Psycherion. It's just a little bit of metal, a little bit of prog rock, a fusion break, lots of chops, good vocals. The new album, let's see. All the songs have something that I like in there. I should have kept a list of the songs right in front of me. Let's see. New Dawn Sunride has really been getting a lot of internet airplay.
Okay.
That seems to be one that more people are playing than any of them. That has kind of a Kansas vibe to it because of Jim Hurley played violin on it.
Right, that's cool.
And Rainless is also another one that's kind of got a little bit of everything in it.
Right.
Prog rock, prog metal, an acoustic break in the middle, um, some back and forth chops.
For
We
those people
like,
out there, what does chops mean? Not Chinese like takeaway or anything.
right. Yeah, solo work,
Right.
solos, which we like doing rather than long, drawn out solos. We like mixing up shorter kind of trade off solos.
Keyboards and guitars, yeah.
Right. And sometimes bass and even drums. Towards the end
Interesting.
of the title song, Myst of Lyriad, everybody gets their kind of trade off chops in. So it's like guitar, keyboard, bass, drums, circling around. So, yeah, we involve any instrument with kind of that call and response type of playing. It can be very, very short licks. So we just, try to avoid long, drawn out solos like you'll have in a lot of prog rock and metal.
Yeah. So, how do you see this album as a progression from the two previous albums?
I don't know if it's that much of a progression. Some of the songs, I really wanted a lot of it to be simpler because I think a lot of the earlier stuff went over people's heads, but as it ended up, I don't know if it is simpler. Um, Certainly, I think it probably is in several of the songs, but you've got two 10-minute epics as well, and so yeah, it's I just kind of let it happen and when composing music, and but before I release something, I think, what are people going to think of this? They're probably going to think that it's a little simpler than the others. At the end of the day, I don't know. I'm too close to the trees to see the forest, and it's always interesting to see people's opinion. You get completely conflicting opinions,
Yeah.
but it's still interesting nonetheless to hear or read what people are hearing in the music. So
Right. So, final question for you, Michael. How's things going with Lion Muisc?
very well. They got hit by you know the internet and people giving away music and all that stuff, and they used to have a lot more bands, I think, than what they've got now.
Yeah.
But but I've known Lars, the CEO, forever. His first solo album, he's a guitar player that he released a solo album around the same time I released my first solo album,
Right.
both on Leviathan Records, and so we have a lot in common. And Lars is a great guitar player. I mean, really underrated.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, I've released some of my recordings myself, but I really don't like the business side of it. I'd rather have somebody else handle the business side. And
Right.
so Lars is very experienced with that. And so,
Okay, Michael. Well, I want to
yeah.
thank you for doing this interview. Do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube?
Thanks for your support, for sure, everyone. Thanks for listening to cutting edge music and not being brainwashed by the mainstream radio.
Right, Michael. Take care, brother. Keep in touch.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jason.
Bye. Take
All
care,
right.
brother. Greetings. Thank you for checking out the Friday 13th interview with Michael Harris from the band Thought Chamber. Hope you enjoyed it. As you know, the band have just released their new album called Myst of Lyriad, released on Lion Muisc. I want to thank Michael for doing this interview and also Lion Muisc for setting it up. So, folks, leave comments, let me know what you think, and please share. Say metalheads, more interviews coming soon.